Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Counter. I am your host, Rich Stambolian. Jonathan Adler sitting right next to me. We're starting a little bit early today as opposed to our usual 6:30 time slot. So take it away, bro.
Hey, so if you miss one of our shows or anything like that, or you can check out all the other entire GFQ Network family, go to gfqnetwork.com. The archive, stop laughing at me. Or check out itunes.com/GFQ.
I wasn't laughing at you. I was like, when you said the word network and made the globe.
The family.
It's
the family. This is the sign language sign for family.
Yeah.
For basketball.
Writing notes. Things to work on the show. Show plugs.
Plugging shows.
Plugging shows. Give these guys at least a little bit of script.
Hey,
or
Jonathan,
something.
if you've missed any of our shows on the GFQ Network, be sure to check us out at gfqnetwork.com.
This is why he runs the network.
Hey, this is your deal,
There
man.
you go.
I'm terrible with that stuff.
You're very good at it.
I'm all right.
You're being very
You're better
humble.
than 90% of the people that work for me.
Thank you.
Sick.
And you haven't even done it.
I haven't met most of them and don't make them hate me before I meet them. This
my guts.
This is the only exposure. I met Kunal once, and Coco's cool. Like
Coco's
I like
awesome.
Coco. You know, I don't hate Coco. How could you hate Coco? His name's Coco.
You hate Coco.
I did.
I think Andrew hates Coco.
You should start calling him Cacao.
Cacao.
No.
Cray.
How's your week, man?
It sucks.
Yeah. All right.
It
Fair enough.
sucks.
Fair enough.
It's a miserable week. I'm trying to quit smoking, so I'm miserable. I
Chew
feel
gum.
weird. Yeah, I can't chew gum on air.
Yeah.
I feel weird.
I
I feel
shouldn't
weird.
be chewing this gum on air either. Sorry.
It's a good to be like a heel with chewing gum. You do like a Mr. Perfect thing.
Yeah, smack the. I wouldn't suggest smacking the gum out of your hand like in the middle of the studio.
Why?
It's gonna end up in a light or something.
It's all.
Let's start
Paid.
blowing it up, man. I had 2 days off this week, so I'm nice.
I've had too much time off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like because with Jewish holidays
Right.
and everything, it's been like there's more time than anything going on right now. So it's just weird, and I just want to smoke a cigarette.
A lot of reading time.
A lot of reading
So,
time.
yeah. I almost with these last 2 days off, like usually I have like a regimented thing where like I'll get my comics on Wednesday, read half of them, read the other half on Thursday, and get prepared. Like I had these 2 nice days, and I was like, man, I didn't really read anything. You know?
Yeah, I know. Today was today I forgot to like start reading
Yeah.
comics again.
But I think I got them out of the system.
So many.
Yeah, these past 3 weeks have been like a ridiculous.
Well,
like,
next week
comic
looks like a light one.
Yeah,
It looks like a very, very light one. But this is just like this is the last week of like the new 52 number ones.
Yeah.
Weird thing. Did you read the thing about George Perez?
No,
He's
no,
leaving Superman
really
already. Number 7.
Okay.
They've had 6 or 7 different people
Uh-huh.
leave or switch the books now. So it's
Right.
really like I read a whole article from on bleedingcool.com.
Is it a deadline thing?
Yeah, I think it's the deadline thing that you're so on top. Even Grant Morrison was kind of slamming and saying.
What do you
like,
mean by deadlines?
So, ever since they started this 52, the new number ones are doing it, this new DC relaunch, everyone has to adhere to putting a book on time. There can't be any late books. So if you're an artist, you're getting replaced. If there's a writer who can't put a script in, you're getting replaced. So this is only the first month of it, and they've already had 6 or 7 different people leave by their own will because it's too stressful, or they ended up getting replaced right by DC. So it's kind of scary if you're, especially a freelance writer, and especially if you're an artist who's juggling a ton of stuff all at once.
Yeah.
Doing the art that's demanded of you nowadays in a book. That's a lot of stuff to do during the course of 30 days.
You have to really exceed expectations for like all this stuff, and Marvel and DC have been cracking down too, and which is awesome for the fans because you get your books on time. Yeah. And you know, like we as a comic fan, you kind of get a little victimized by the fact that sometimes your favorite book doesn't come out for 6 months, like the 12.
Which is like in limbo.
You know, yeah, which is like in limbo, and that was a miniseries that was supposed to be wrapped up like a year and a half ago, I think.
If even longer, man.
And you know, like a lot of these books just come out. You kind of expect that stuff from like a small publisher, but DC and Marvel really got on the ball, and they were like, "Listen, if you can't do it, go home."
But there's a weird like double-edged sword with it, where I want my books on time, and I'm sure you do too. You're looking forward to the storyline,
right?
But you do want some type of continuous flow with like the art style, and like you might be checking in, and it might not be an artist that you're particularly favoring, but there's a certain flavor that you're getting from the book on the course of a month-to-month basis,
right?
And then when you read a 6-issue arc, you kind of lose that when you get that replacement aspect of it,
and or if you have that one fill-in issue that's just like the complete filler,
yeah. And there's a lot of that going around too.
Yeah.
It seems like, especially like these .1 issues, like I'm not terribly a huge fan of them.
We'll get to the Marvel stuff later, but I really enjoyed that Avengers one that came out.
That was awesome.
The Osborn one.
They're the 2.1s from Avengers have been really awesome.
They're really good, man. All right, but I think this is gonna be the last week of the new 52
show. It's
relaunch.
over.
That's it.
Sorry.
I knew it,
Sorry,
man.
guys.
I knew it. We're done. Come find us. We'll be in my living room talking about comics. Somebody bring a camera and an internet connection.
We got to do it on ham radio now.
CB radio. So yeah, we're gonna I guess wrap up the new 52 stuff. I'm sitting in front of a giant stack of comics. I want to go right into it. For the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about how DC's been doing books for characters that we would think have no demand, and a good example is Voodoo. I mean, we've ragged on the character a ton of times. I enjoyed Voodoo #1.
I kind of did too, which is a weird thing. This is like a book that I had no desire to pick up.
Zero expectations.
Nope.
And I think that helped too, because the book was actually
I think that's really what it is.
No,
I think the no expectation thing goes such a long way with these books.
Mm-hmm. And Voodoo was pretty good. It's by Ron Mars and Sammy Basri. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. But it opens up. It's Voodoo's a Wildstorm character, and she was on the Wildcats. And the book basically opens up with her working in a strip club and trying to hustle men. And there's like some secret agents like after her.
What's so weird about what's so weird about this book too is like we've been talking so much about like DC and the how they're treating women. And it's an entire book of a girl stripping. Like there is not a single panel, aside from turns to a monster, where she's not stripping or taking her clothes off.
Right.
But it's actually like a halfway decent book. It keeps you interested. I don't know how vested I'm gonna be in the series for 12 issues or whatever it may be. But I don't know. It was decent. The art's very, very nice.
The art is very, very nice. It's like a very nice streamline, kind of like a Luna Brothers type.
That's exactly what I was thinking. You read my mind, man. It felt like a Luna Brothers book. They know how to do beautiful women, and it feels like they're taking that same kind of like washed over look to it.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. It was very enjoyable. And there's one thing I really don't know how to feel about is there's like a weird outcry online now with female fans who are like, DC, your relaunch stinks. And it's hurting people's feelings.
Yeah, and what's weird too about this is, listen, the DC relaunch is completely successful. I mean, they've continuing to sell out. They announced today that Diamond is back ordering the second issues of Action Comics now, so that means they're selling out as well. So they're gonna have a good run of sales. But like we're talking about before with the editorial part of it, it's controversial. Like if you're coming out with something this I want to say fresh, but this new or kind of groundbreaking, whatever, there's gonna be a lot of flack. I don't agree with everything they're doing. I think if you're doing 52 new titles, there's definitely gonna be shit, involved with it. Whether it be controversy or just total garbage.
Yeah, and you know what? Now that you mentioned that,
you want to go shit? Shit number one.
Listen, I'm not gonna. Oh man,
action shit comics.
Did I bring it with me? I think I did. Yeah. Speaking of a little more on the doo-doo end of the spectrum, I really didn't like it, and far be it from me to rag on a book or anything, but Teen Titans #1.
Oh, I hate this book.
Not very big on me, and it's one of these books that I've been looking forward to because I always liked different incarnations of the Teen Titans.
I don't like this. I had no. Again, this was another book that I really had. I love Teen Titans. I think it's a cool. It's one of the first books I ever read was like the Marvel Wolfman or like Teen Titans.
Yeah,
and like it is more than anything. I think it's a really subpar book. It's Scott Lobdell, kind of like breaking the fourth wall thing. He blows up the X-Men mansion, kind of in the beginning of the issue.
Yeah.
Because he used to write X-Men, it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek thing. But what's really weird about it is, again, it's that continuity issue. Like, I'm not a continuity freak, but this is supposed to be the first Teen Titans adventures that they have.
Yeah.
And nothing else happened before, but, like, you read a Batman comic, and it doesn't make sense to me.
No.
It doesn't, like, a lot of stuff is not coming up to line to me.
It's an interesting, crazy look at the continuity that's happening. If you're a DC fan, like I let my brother read all the my brother came to visit over the weekend, huge DC guy. I put all the 52 #1s in front of him that came out already, and I think his brain exploded at one point because he's like, why is this guy here? And he was like shaking, like, why is this happening? And who's this guy? This is stupid. Why is this guy here? I don't like it. Where is the continuity? Like, why is Cyborg 17 but he's not? And
there's a headache involved.
Yeah.
I think what they should have done, it would have made me a lot like easier around the edges, is get away from that 5-year thing.
Yeah.
I know that you're supposed to a year in comic books is a big thing. I mean, most storylines take place between 6 issues could take place in a day.
Right.
So like time is very compressed and weird and doesn't really make sense. You're supposed to read from 1960 to today, and you have 4 years of I guess 8 years of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
for the most part,
or like 10 or whatever.
It's something like that. It's a weird. It doesn't really make sense, but because you're putting a number on it and saying, "Hey, this is when kind of our universe started," it messes me up because goodbye Golden Age, goodbye Silver Age,
right?
And also just like the Robin thing is the thing that like you brought that up with me, and ever since then, it's like trying to examine a Mobius strip.
It's in.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's in your face now with the whole 5 Robins thing, and then like the de-aging of a lot of the characters, like.
Let's repeat that again about the Robin thing. So 5 years ago is when Batman had his first adventures with the JLA,
right?
Which is basically the year 1 for it. And within that period of time, we don't even know if like Spoiler was still around or anything like that. But you had Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Damian, possibly Stephanie Brown. Plus, you have the fact that while he was Batman, he had to have sex with Talia al Ghul and have now a teenage kid,
right?
Which blows my mind. Like that's the thing that like really like makes me nuts.
Because the kid is around. The kid shows up, and if they made it 10 years or 12 years, that would have been awesome. But that 5-year thing really screws up like the Bat mythos. And they're de-aging these guys, but they're de-aging them in a weird way. It seems like Red Robin, Tim Drake still had all his adventures as Robin and as Red Robin, but now he's like maybe 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And it's like if you really think about it, and it will make your brain hurt. And I know it's fantasy, I know it's comic books and everything, but you still want that little dose of kind of like that plausibility of like, all right, well, this happened then, and Batman didn't show up and be like, oh, by the way, 5 years ago I met you. Hey, check out my 12-year-old son. 12-year-old son.
I think we're supposed to like kind of wait and see type of thing, and something that they're definitely going to address as they go forward, as they get deeper into storylines. But it also feels like they're kind of playing it by ear.
Yeah, which is okay for a relaunch. There's a couple of things that I
like to in my heart know that everything's been planned out.
Yeah.
In your heart of hearts, you want to believe that a writer has everything planned out. I know that's not the truth, especially with serialized fiction.
Right.
But it's tough.
I always think like at the end of like whatever this is, and when they come out with like that one shot of something, it's gonna be like regular continuity Batman, regular continuity Superman, and Wonder Woman being like, what happened? Like, I always think that's looming over like the edge of like one issue. It's going to be like the reveal.
Yeah.
Not Alex Luthor smashing the worlds together or anything.
You want that so badly.
I do. I really do.
Alex Luthor is the answer to everything.
Yeah, it should be. Another Batman book. Batman's got what, like 4 books?
Well, he's in everything. I mean, like Batman should be in every book possible. You have him in JLA, but you have Batman, Dark Knight, and you have Detective Comics. There's another one too.
Batman and Robin.
Batman. Oh wow.
And regular Batman. He's got 5.
Batman, Robin, Dark Knight, Detective.
He's in JLI. He's in JLA.
JLI.
Yep.
He's in Justice League Dark.
Right.
I like that book, man.
It was all right. I love.
I really enjoyed it.
I'm not a big Shade the Changing Man.
I don't think any of us. I don't think any of us really picked up on Shade the Changing Man when it came out. We were more interested in Swamp Thing and Constantine and I like Dead Man. Madame Xanadu is definitely growing on me. This is basically the Vertigo version, the Vertigo family creating their Justice League team. There's some cool stuff in it. It's a good. I think it's a good starter. I think what stuck out at me. Can I see the book for 1 second?
Yeah.
There's basically all these nightmarish things going on, and it's a gross image of like a farmer covered in blood, and like all this fucked up shit's happening. Is like a neighboring town, a shower of books, and a dead language kills 6 people. And then they show the farmer, and he's like, on 2 farms, cows give birth to mechanical meat slicers. 1 farmer shoots himself. That's nasty.
That is really nasty.
That's really, really gross.
I always really appreciated that about when the DC universe does the magic stuff and they do it right. It's so jarring.
Yeah, I love the fact that they always bring up magic as being like the unexplained science,
and how magic is one of the only things that could hurt Superman.
Yeah, and that's why they really can't do anything much with this. But like, I don't care about Shade the Changing Man. I mean, he had a cool bit in it, but I really just don't have any real, nostalgia or anything tied into it. But it's a cool book. I really enjoyed it.
If somebody was tuning in right now with no audio, it just looks like you're reading a comic on it.
Good. I don't care.
Just sitting there. I think that's funny.
I feel like I'm getting Enchantress shove down my throat. Like, I don't care about Enchantress.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to care about the Magic characters. I will pick up number 2.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm on board.
I'll see it. Dark Knight number 1 also came out this week. I take it that you did not enjoy it.
I haven't. This is the second relaunch of Dark Knight. Dark Knight started maybe 4 months ago. Maybe.
Longer than that. Like 6 months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they completed that last arc. But they restarted with number 1. It's David Finch behind the helm.
Paul Jenkins. And Richard Friend.
It still feels like the same friggin' book.
Yeah.
It's a big Arkham thing. It feels like I've read this before in another Batman book. I felt like this kind of very similar to what Scott Snyder's doing.
Right.
But you have this big moment where a Batman gets there, and you at the very last page, you have Two-Face like really hulked out, and he's now called One-Face, and he calls Batman Botty Boy, which is making slang for a homosexual.
Interesting. Very interesting. I don't know how you feel about this, but this might be like a personal quirk of mine. I don't like reveals in comics to be like an enhanced version of the villain. You know, I'm kind of sick of it because it's happening a lot. Like they did that. It was awesome when they did it in
Scare Beast.
Scare Beast,
a personal favorite of myself and our friend Bobby.
Scare Beast was awesome. That was a cool story. But it worked in the Batman video game where you had to fight giant Mohawk Joker at the end.
I hated that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I really like that. I don't like the giant Two-Face. And then also in the Firestorm book that also came out this week.
Yeah, dude.
The whole thing at the end was Ronnie Raymond and I forgot the other kid's name.
Jason Rush.
They
with a C.
And that's another weird thing, but you can mess around with the Firestorm continuity because nobody really
gives a shit.
Yeah, and it's a cool character, but at the end is like they mash together and become a giant, fat, muscular Firestorm
called Fury.
Yeah,
and it's also what's Fury of Firestorm is the name of the book now.
Yeah.
I mean, no one really. I mean, people may have an affinity to Firestorm. I think he's a aesthetically good-looking character.
Yeah, I always like Firestorm.
He's cool. I had his action figure when I was a kid. But I like the concept of there being like other Firestorms, but it's too much. Like he's such a powerful character. The dude can reshape molecules. And now you have 2 of them, and then you have possibly 5 of them, and like you see like how the cover they have like the Fury dude, and he's got like the missing holes, and they all have like different symbols. So I'm kind of intrigued. I like Gail Simone's work, but I definitely was not impressed by this book.
No, I don't know if I would call it a letdown.
Right up in New York Times too.
Really?
Yeah.
I do want to see where it's going. I really enjoyed what they did with Firestorm Right as Day, where it was Ronnie Raymond and Jason Rush in the Firestorm body, because you were kind of like,
that was cool.
You wanted that.
That was the last time I really did enjoy it was in Blackest Night. When they did when you had the aspect of them sharing bodies and all that stuff, but now them being 2 separate entities, I just don't really care.
Yeah, I'll go back for more. I enjoy the character.
Listen, I think a team. Yeah, I think I like Gail Simone a lot, but I think it's very difficult doing number 1. Like seeing all these new number 1s and trying to make it accessible, but also appease people like us who've been reading this for fucking forever.
Yeah.
And still be a lot of fun and want you to come back for more. It's tough. I think it's very, very difficult. So I'm a harsh judge of these books, but this book didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I think you have to also separate. You have to do in a more meta respect with the 5-year DC continuity thing. I think you have to do that internally as well, where you're like, you know what, I'm 30 and this didn't do it for me, but the 10-year-old in me would have loved it.
I don't know if my 10-year-old. I think that it is. There's a certain type of feel to a lot of these books, especially the books that are kind of in between, like a Firestorm and like Blackhawks and stuff like that.
I didn't like Blackhawks.
Where I kind of did. I think there's a very bland art style to it. It's kind of just middle of the road DC. Like DC is, I don't know if they have, it's the coloring or what it is, but there's something very cheap about it. It doesn't like Dark Knight will feel like a big book. Like it feels like a Batman book. It's colorful. It's gorgeous. Like even JLA, it's big, but there's it's so kind of just milquetoast.
Yeah, but DC's always done that.
That's their flavor. It's weird.
They have that very flat kind of thing, but when they get a good artist, they try to they squeeze out really awesome stuff out of it.
Well, I think that's why I liked I, Vampire so much.
I, Vampire was fantastic.
That's a book that I had no desire for.
Yeah.
I love the hell out of it, and artistically, it's gorgeous. It looks like Jay Lee.
Yeah.
I don't recall the artist's name.
Andrea Sorrentino.
Yeah. Could be a girl, could be a guy.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. Like, I don't give a shit about vampires. You've heard of us. If you listen to the show regularly, you know we shit on vampires quite often. Yeah. The book is Cold Eye Vampire, and it rocked ass.
It really did. Did you fall asleep?
My phone is
yeah, man, it was a really good book. It was a nice breath of fresh air because it's, you know, an interesting vampire story. It's an interesting take, and this is a good way to work vampires into a universe because they're setting him up to fail, and you kind of want to see that happen, and you want to see where the main character goes, and you want to see the whole relationship he has with like the new, what she calls herself at the end, your blood queen.
Yeah,
and they're like in love,
blood.
You know.
It was all. Yeah. It was just like really. This was like a near perfect first issue because it was exciting. It's mysterious. Yeah. They give you just enough information, and plus it's iVampire. It's pretty much a blank slate. You can do a lot with this and mess around with the character. You don't have 10-year-old Jonathan, worried about like what they're gonna do with my iVampire character. No. The only time I've read iVampire before this was at that awesome Dr. 13 story.
Yeah. And he was a cool character in it. We always come back every week. We come back to it
because we love it.
It was so great.
It was one of my favorite comics in the last 10 years.
Yeah, and
my favorite teams. Like, it was so crazy, and it was like weirdly like the. I actually went back and read it a little while ago, and remember how they had the Mount Rushmore of all the 52 creators' heads. It was like Grant Morrison, like Mark Waid, was like the bad guys, and like that was like Azzarello's approach to dealing with the fact that everyone now had to forcibly deal with like the 52 aspect of it, not this 52, the older 52, the weekly series. So it's like these four gods of writing or take precedence over everything, and here's these shitty kind of like middle of the road characters. Right. It was awesome. It's such a, if you have a chance, pick up Dr. 13. It is such a solid book, and it's cheap too. It's a short book.
And the trade's probably like
$10
or something. Yeah.
Or digitally, it's probably like $5.
Yeah. Did you like Blackhawks?
I did like Blackhawk. I don't know why. I read this was like one of the last things I read last night before I went to bed. And Blackhawk before, for those who don't know, was about fighter pilots in like World War II, and then later on in our present time. And now it's like a weird tech book.
Yeah, it's a weird tech book, and I think for me there's like a lot of weird holes in it. Because they at one point they put that guy through like so much security, but they don't check the team when they come back, apparently.
Yeah. Listen, it's not a great book. I enjoyed it. I think it was kind of cool. It's not something that I definitely feel myself checking into all the time.
Right. I think it's a one and done for me personally.
It probably is. But there was something about it that I kind of like was kind of interested in.
Yeah, I'll say the same about Savage Hawkman. Only because I love Hawkman so much, I'll come back for number 2, even though this.
I'll come back for number 2, but I really didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think the same reason why you're coming back for more is the same reason I'm coming back for more, is that we both enjoy Hawkman.
It's like it's Stockholm syndrome, Like I want to see what they do with Hawkman.
I always want to see what they want to do with Hawkman.
And it wasn't necessarily a fantastic issue. There's some really, really cool stuff in it, And I think I like the whole alien thing. I did not like the name of the alien because that was such a letdown.
Remember, I'm drawing blank now. All I remember is like him blowing, like burning his cape and like burning his like stuff up. Oh, that's right, Morpheus.
Yeah. No, thank you. Sorry, Tony Daniel. And I feel bad too because we're probably gonna end up seeing this dude at Comic-Con.
Cool. I'll tell him how much I don't like his book.
I hate the fact that like we've not been ragging on the guy, but just like
Hawkman is a terribly hard character to write.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's an awesome character to write. He's a gigantic archaeologist, Indiana Jones type, who carries around a mace and wings, and he's got the hairy chest, and he's just a mean dude. And I didn't feel like they had any of that in this book.
No hairy chest, no
none of the
mean
cool
dude.
stuff that I like about Hawkman were really in this. And maybe because the very first Hawkman that I really enjoyed was like Jeff Johns when he came on and revitalized it.
Yeah.
And even when Palomani and Gray came on, it was awesome.
That was really good. That was a surprising hit for me.
Yeah.
I remember because like they did such a great job with the storylines and having him in the South with the museum.
It was
with
awesome.
With Kendra, which was really cool. And that's another thing. Like I love the Hawkman mythos so much. And I want to see where they go with it. And it doesn't really bother me that he internalized the nth metal. And now he can just like but what's weird for me, which also boggles my mind as like an adult, is the fact that, okay, he took in all the metal and the wings, so he can sprout wings and he can sprout armor, but I guess it can let him wear pants or are his pants metal. Like it gives him green pants and like the Hawkman symbol.
Yes, well, that's nth metal pants. It's like leather pants.
So everything's metal and it just becomes like cloth.
Yes.
Or whatever.
I'm not a big fan of the mask either.
Yeah, it's very Thor.
Yeah. I don't know about that book, man. I want to love it.
I'll buy it.
I want to love it, but
coming back. The art was great. Philip Tan.
Felt tan.
Yeah, I think he did some X Factor a few years ago.
I think so.
Right?
Well, there's Philly and there's Billy.
Yeah,
the two tans.
Yeah, very tan.
Very tan.
Green Lantern Guardians.
Didn't care for it.
Yeah,
I feel like all of the Green Lantern stuff is really kind of just chugging along right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Green Lantern stuff, but this is a book about Kyle Rayner and all of the one ring each of all of the color spectrum are now racing towards him. So he's got a lot of angry corpus members running towards him, and a lot of it is it actually goes back and kind of addresses Kyle Rayner's origin when he first got his ring.
But they don't give you. That's the thing. They don't give you the time frame, because if you're a new reader, I think what they should have done is, like, if you're a new reader and these are geared towards new readers, they could have put the little like 4 years ago thing or whatever.
I don't think they should ever put a date on anything.
Yeah.
Even when they do something like the 1960s and they actually put a date on it, it screws, just because that compressed weird timeline that we're dealing with messes with it.
Well, at least
say before.
Okay, yeah, like a few years ago, or whatever. Because it's
confusing. It was jarring in this when I read it.
Right. Yeah. Same here. Like, you go into it and you're like, I guess it's happening now, but wait, it's not. It's happened already. This is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not happening, and now people are ragging on him because he's got a wacky costume.
Especially because you're reading a lot of books that are number ones, and it's a restart of their thing. You don't know what they're using and they're not using.
Right.
So I guess they want to say right away, like, all right, Kyle Rayner is a Green Lantern. Like, you know that. We've seen him in the other books. We don't necessarily need that part of it.
Right. Like, he exists, and all this crazy space stuff happened, and he's now getting all these rings, and people are after him.
I think also I've never been a real fan of Kyle Rayner.
I always like Kyle Rayner.
He's my least favorite of all the dudes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
John Stewart's my least favorite Green Lantern.
I will take John Stewart over him.
It goes, I think it was Hal and Kyle, Guy.
You know mine.
As far as the Earth guys go, Kilowog, definitely up there.
Kilowog's up there. I think if you're to count the I think Guy is my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
He's a disaster.
He is.
If you like, one of my favorite Green Lantern stuff I ever read was there was a 3-issue prestige format called Guy Gardner Warrior.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's when the whole thing is like it's him fighting, mostly him and Lobo. I forgot what the team that was on it, but it's so all over the place, and it was like kind of like my introduction to like a lot of the weird shit that's in Green Lantern, aside from just him fighting. Like, you had Goldface and like Black Hand before he was a threat. Yeah. It was just so cool, and just like really liked Guy Gardner from that book.
Great character.
I hate when I do this. I always stare at like the pile as you shuffle through them, and I'm always like wincing at certain books.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I saved
this week was tough.
This week was I saved the big 3 for last. I guess. Superman #1 came out with the team of George Perez and Jesus Marino.
It's a weird book. Yeah. Like, #1, most of the narrative is taking place in the narrative boxes.
Right.
It's all like articles from like that Clark Kent's writing about and you don't know about.
I dug that.
And it's kind of cool because it actually you get so much more story in it. Like, you get internal dialogue and all this stuff, and I always like that part of comics.
Isn't the art a little weird too?
It is.
Like, it's
the cover is George Perez, and George Perez always makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. I love the dude, but there's always something weird about it. Yeah. The internal art is also very similar to Perez's.
Well, he did the breakdowns, and Marino went over the breakdowns with his own thing, you know. I kind of agree with you. I think it's because, like, if you have any kind of like claustrophobicness in you, you'll get that with the George Perez art, because everything's so crammed together. It's beautiful. Like, I love George Perez's art, man. Like, I have that. He did that gigantic Crisis poster. I think it was like him and Alex Ross, I want to say.
Yeah. I know.
There's like a million characters in it, and like he's good at that. You know, he was the dude who just like threw everything on the page in perfect detail.
Yeah.
This book was all right. I mean, it's interesting how Superman's being written now. As far as Clark Kent goes, it just seems like they're giving you a little hint of him being a real hardcore journalist.
Yeah.
You know, they don't give him like the fluff pieces or anything.
Well, most of the time is spent talking about the Daily Planet alongside this like alien fire monster threat, which I just think is very bland to fighting a fire monster. I never
liked it when they throw like the wacky threat at Superman, like the one and done threat. You know? And it's hard to do that. And I think this it seems like they're trying to get away from that too with the relaunch, that they want to make things like they want to make things be able to threaten Superman.
Well, here's what I did. Here's what I agree with that, and it's you're seeing that Superman is not this super powerful creature.
Right.
He's very powerful, but he's probably the most powerful dude that's out there.
Right.
But he can actually get hurt at some point now. So it's not just like he shrugs off everything. But he fought this like fire monster, which is very like, I don't know, kind of weird. But they made you what's interesting is when you see a book like this that's reestablishing the Superman universe, all the changes they're making. So they made like the Daily Planet, they tear down the Daily Planet, they make this new like global conglomerate thing where they're working with Morgan Edge and
they're doing digital and print.
Yeah, so they're addressing like the journalistic part of it, and then they made Jimmy Olsen a brunette, took away his freckles, and the big reveal also was that Lois Lane and Superman have never dated before.
Right.
Which is weird.
Yeah. It is weird, but they don't really go in. They go into the whole like maybe they were lovers at one point, like Clark and her, you know, and because like he walks away and he's using like he's walking away from the apartment as she's like boning this other guy, and he's hearing them, which was really creepy.
Yeah,
you know, like he turned on the super hearing and it was like, man,
they're boning.
I'm gonna run through that wall like Kool-Aid.
I did like the costume in this.
Yeah,
I really was not. I'm not a big fan of like this segmented, weird look to a lot of these costumes, but I did enjoy the way that he looked in this.
See, the other thing, like, is you have when you read this stuff, and if you're a comic fan, you run through a million scenarios in your head trying to think of what's going to happen next, and going with the shit I always say about like the Alex Luthor thing, and then like the other dimensional, like the regular continuity people coming back. As soon as I put this issue down, I'm like, it's Eradicator. He's Eradicator.
You always think it's Eradicator. Eradicator can be anybody.
Like they're doing it again. He's got the cemented armor because he's Eradicator. He doesn't have the S curl. You know,
he's got the. I didn't notice it before, but he's got the S on the back of his cape. And so it's weird.
And he's he's a jerk, I guess.
I see. I know it is. I same thing with you probably that we both would rather read action comics.
Yeah,
like that's the Grant Morrison writing it is just a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And he's and like the fact that he get like taken down by a train, you know, and he's just kind of like a real tough dude who can jump around a lot. It's kind of cool.
Which is awesome. It is so wacky when you say it that way.
Yeah,
you know, like he's a really strong guy that could just
jump around,
hop over shit, and like
the rabbit.
You know, he could get hurt. Right?
Iron Rabbit.
Aquaman came out this week too.
Sure did.
Loved it.
Loved it. I did love it. I did.
Jeff Johns, Ivan Reyes, Joe Prado or Prado. Really cool, man, because it seems like this may have kept Arthur Curry in regular continuity, and you know what? There's not really much solid like Aquaman continuity. You know what I mean? Like it's solid, but it's not like he's not directly involved with a lot of shit.
Well,
you know?
I mean, as a child, I never enjoyed Aquaman.
Okay.
I mean, this is like this issue. The mission statement was definitely to make him not a joke. This is not just a dude who talks to fish. So like it addresses it. It kind of like there's he gets kind of pulled aside by a reporter, like an internet blogger who's kind of like trying to pull his card, and he's rectifying that he doesn't really communicate with fish. He just communicates with fish, doesn't talk to fish because fish can't talk because they have no lips. But what was awesome about it was, I mean, like in terms of the continuity thing, they saying like he was never a King of Atlantis at this point.
No, I think they said he was, but he left them. He's leaving them.
Yeah, but like what's weird is that me and you probably have read so much Aquaman over the past few years, and I feel like totally invested in this, but I felt validated. Yes. I felt like it was like a great fresh start.
It was, man, and you can.
He looks awesome in this.
He looks tremendous. They didn't give him like the weird armor thing, and you could tell Jeff Johns really was just like, I'm gonna make Aquaman awesome, And I want everybody to pick up Aquaman, man. Like this week, like we'll get to the next one, but in a minute. But this is one of the better. 52 books, man, definitely. Even if you don't like Aquaman, he is a laughable character. I always dug him. And he shows up to like a seafood restaurant, which is real cool, where he was like interviewed by the journalist, and then people are like, what's he gonna eat? Is this cannibalism? Like, what's he gonna do? And he's like, I'll have the fish and chips. And they're like, well, aren't you Aquaman? Like, aren't you like a fish man? Like, and
he's like, yeah. It's like, well, what the fuck else am I gonna eat? I live underwater. There's not like sea cows down there.
They're like, I'm hungry. Like, give me some food. I live in a lighthouse.
Yeah, he's and he's kind of bitter and like he's a tough dude. And he's walking around with this like I think he looks awesome. Like I love the Aquaman costume. I never did, but I think it's so grown on me and it's so like visually striking. And I never realized he was bulletproof. He takes like a bullet in the face.
Yeah,
and it bounces off his face. I never realized that.
He's like super duper strong.
He's tough. And the bad guys are cool. These like weird like anglerfish people called the Trench.
Yeah. they're like they got piranha heads.
Yeah,
basically, like they're nuts looking, and they show up and they're like, "What's up there?" And they stumble on like a group of fishermen, and they're like, "There's food here."
Yeah, they're like creatures I've never been to the surface before.
Yeah, if you're gonna go to the comic store at some point this weekend, pick up Aquaman #1. It's really good. You'll enjoy it, and
guarantee.
And I think you'll also enjoy. We're gonna wrap up the 52 stuff with I think this is the last one I got in the stack. The Flash #1, man.
Rocked.
I dug it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What's really great about this is Flash has been under the thumb of Jeff Johns for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So to see him leave the book, and he has left the book in return before and back and forth. Francis Manpool did this, right?
Francis Manpool and Brian Buccellato.
And Francis Manpool used to be the artist for Flash. And usually, for most times I've read an artist make the switch to writing chores, it's a bit of a stumbling, kind of a trial by fire. But this is awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, and
it really
visually,
was.
it's amazing too.
Yeah.
Like, there's some really cool paneling, like that one panel where he comes out the window,
Yeah.
and the whole page is like his motion going through, like, throwing a guy through a building and then crashing to the ground. It's awesome looking.
It is. I mean, and this, like, the way he pulls off the art in this issue also sold me on the new Flash segmented costume.
I'm not sold on it.
I'm sold on it because, like, I for some reason, I just, like, got it in my head that I hated, like, the chin guard. And after reading this, I'm like, you know what? I do kind of like it. Yeah, he has, like, instead of having, like, the open chin, he has, like,
I didn't even notice that.
He has, like, a little, like, thing over
Like a little
here.
soul patch?
Yeah. Yeah. He's got, like, a little, like, it's, like, a full, like, helmet
I never
kind of
noticed
thing.
that.
It's weird shit that I pick up on like that, you know? And what I kind of like, too, is, like, his costume comes out of the ring.
Which it always did, but
yeah.
it used to have that awesome floppy thing where it just, like, kind of just flies out.
Right.
Kind of like a ghost type of thing.
And now it's like it's flopping out like Iron Man armor almost.
Which I don't like. I don't like the segmented thing at all.
But I mean, it works for him because like
It
the
does.
segments light up,
Yeah.
as he's running, which is kind of cool.
Well, that one panel with him where he's actually standing up and you get to see like how all the segments are kind of like the shapes of like lightning bolts.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
Yeah.
So it's something that really grew on me. I think it's the very end of it.
I think this book was a home run, man.
It was.
Go out and pick up Flash #1. Also, it's beautiful, man. Like the art is awesome. It's got that nice like kind of. You can tell who this guy's influences were. It's got like that throwbacky feel to like Silver Age books. You know?
Dude, it's a rocking book.
Yeah. And it's cool, man. It doesn't go too much into.
It's
like,
not tied down to anything.
Yeah, and it's a good story. The one thing that they do touch on is that him and Iris aren't together.
Yeah.
I
think that's the general thing, that there's no booty going on with any of the superheroes.
Not at all.
No one's gotten laid before, and they're not getting laid in the future.
Except Aquaman. Aquaman's got Mira.
He does, but she's menstrual, man. I've never dug Mira.
No.
I love redheads, but that's not one of my favorite redheads.
She's a mermaid.
It's that weird crown that she wears, that starfish, and that comes out of the top of her head.
The tiara.
Yeah, it's weird.
You think we'll see some new 52 costumes at Comic-Con?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, like, dude, like that Dragon Con video you posted last week, like the imagination of people making costumes is the sky's the limit. So like, I know there's if you're coming as a Superman, you people try and do like different spins on Superman or Batman, whatever. Like seeing like a Wolverine zombie or whatever. So like, I can't wait to see what these costumes gonna look like, and I'd love to see people like put on a crazy like segmented shit.
Yeah,
because it looks like it's tough to make.
Yeah, I mean, there's guys out there who are like such good craftsmen with making their own like crazy costumes that I'm sure when the first pictures of like all this stuff came out, they immediately got to work.
Stitchy.
That I posted if you guys want to see weirdos in costumes or just people in awesome costumes, there's a 22-minute long video from Dragon Con floating around on YouTube.
Awesome.
And it's like I was sitting at work. I had like a weird day, and like that really it like brought like a tear to my eye. I was like, these people love what they love.
Great, like there was like a great MODOK costume.
Oh yeah,
anything MODOK, I'm a huge fan of. But that's a great costume, and it's weird because I watched it, which is unrelated, back to back with a Burning Man video, and they're so it's such a similar vein.
MODOK and Burning Man.
A lot of steampunk.
You can see. Yes, I don't get the steampunk.
I'm tired of it.
I don't get steampunk. I don't get pirates.
Dude, steampunk is like the biggest thing in the world. Especially when you come to like, because steampunk goes from like comic book fans and like
sci-fi fans.
And so it's like, if you're like, everyone should be like, if you like Batman, everybody should love steampunk also.
I love the really shitty costumes. It's like the really skinny kid
Yeah.
And it's like really bad looking, and he's just wearing suspenders and a monocle. I'm like, that's awful.
It's gonna be so nuts seeing all these costumes. Like, and the steampunk shit expensive, man. Like, if you go out and you buy like yourself like a good pair of like goggles, those are hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
I saw a really cool steampunk amplifier with tubes. You know, like the tube amps.
Right.
I fell in love with it, and it's like $2,000. I'm like, holy shit!
And it probably plays everything really staticky.
Really static.
Stupid. You know, like old school stuff. I saw an excellent. There's like another YouTube video I was watching at work like this week. It was from a couple of years ago at the New York at the big Comic-Con, and they had the Marvel costume contest, and there was a dude who just did he did a Venom costume, but he was wearing like a Venom sweatshirt, and he had he was bald, so he painted his face black and painted like the white eyes. It's hysterical.
You know what? I just thought of something before I forget about this. We should definitely, and as like a kind of a bookend to our show, and I'm proposing to Andrew now, we should do like a viral video show.
What do you want? Like
a Tosh.0 type thing.
You know, it's funny. I just had a meeting over that this week. We had a big meeting, and we've been trying to do that for like 2 years.
I would love to do it.
And it fails. Like, we've tried different demos of it, and like the way we've been doing it has not been working.
My YouTube subscription thing is out of control. Like, I have thousands
we should do it then.
of favorited YouTube things.
Let's have a meeting.
I love talking about YouTube shit. I think my greatest passions are talking about dogs, comic books, and YouTube videos.
Steve, you should be a steampunk.
And I guarantee I'll do a steampunk as well.
Fans of dogs also love steampunk.
Of course they do.
Everything. If you like anything, you're
cyber dogs.
Steampunk.
Cyber steampunk dogs. I would love to do a viral video show. I love that shit.
We can do some viral stuff at the con. Keep it comic centric viral stuff. Just with the guys in costumes. I would pay like a guy who looks like a shitty Rorschach like a couple of bucks to just do something.
Let's do Shocking Saturdays.
You know, can't do it. Can't do it. All right, so we're gonna do some Marvel stuff this week. A lot of books this week, man.
Yeah.
Marvel does they've been doing this point one stuff to kind of bring in new readers, and they didn't really hit it out of the park with anyone except for a couple.
They feel like filler books. They're supposed to be easy accessible, non-number one issues.
Yeah, but New Avengers 16.1, fantastic,
awesome. This feels like between this and the last point one they did under Bendis's pen, I think it was Mighty Avengers they did or something like that, or regular Avengers I think they did a point one, and they both are teasing what's coming for the next year. So for this one you have Norman Osborn becoming a viable threat again and re-entering the Marvel universe. And reintroducing a new Dark Avengers eventually.
Right, which I can't wait for.
Yeah.
I really like the fact that they broke him out. The Avengers are asked to escort Norman Osborn from the raft to some other place, and they had a plan A, which was
even before that, go tell them what why they get the job, why they were told to do the job. It's like, why about the rest of Avengers? Why can't they take care of Osborn? It's like, well, you guys are sitting around eating,
and it's literally the Avengers sitting around
eating stuff in their face. And there's been so many new Avengers issues where they are sitting around the table and eating food. A lot of New Avengers is them sitting around the table and Spider-Man griping, and then Wolverine saying "bub," Yeah.
But I don't know about you, comic book deli sandwiches always look delicious.
They look amazing.
Oh yeah,
because it looks so big, and it's like the sandwich you want, with like a thick cut of tomato.
Oh, it's amazing looking.
Pink meat.
There could be stuff in that sandwich that I don't have any personal feelings for, but it looks awesome. Swiss cheese and everything.
If that sandwich came alive, I would eat it.
Give me that sandwich.
Which has nothing to do with comics. It's just I love sandwiches.
I love sandwiches.
But yeah, so they take they're trying to take Norman Osborn to this other place, and their plan A was apparently to fool whoever would break him out into doing it, and they replaced Norman Osborn with Doctor Strange. So these guys show up and they help him escape, but they actually have Doctor Strange on their ship. He brings the ship down, and then they're like, all right, now we can move the real Norman Osborn around, But it goes haywire, and he escapes, and apparently he smashed AIM, Hydra, and the Marvel baddies together, and he's their boss now.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Aside from all of that, and they're having all these villainous secret organizations behind them, which would be cool because they were called Hammer, and it's still gonna be Hammer. But they never came up with the pronunciation, with what the actual letters stand for.
Right.
So it could be like Hydra, AIM, Magia, or
Medusa. Last one's going to be robots.
It was really cool. It was a weird, it was Neil Adams doing the art, which is just very jarring.
Yeah. I always like it when he pops up. And, 'cause a lot of his, recent stuff has been, semi-hit or miss. I think the art on this was fantastic. It has like that. Hey, I'm gonna make you feel a little uncomfortable with the way I'm drawing stuff, and they show a great panel of Wolverine getting shot in the face 30 times.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
Ultimate Spidey #2,
really awesome.
Yeah, great story, man. I really like where they're going with it.
I love the fact that they're giving him a new power set. The first issue they revealed he had like invisibility, chameleon powers, and now he's got like a stinger type of thing with his hand.
Yeah, he's like the Spidey chameleon-y thing. You know,
he's cool. I think it's a really cool, beautiful book. It's it's a slow burn, just like all the the Ultimate stuff is. It's a lot of talking heads. But it's gorgeous looking.
Yeah,
love that Frogman shirt.
It's beautiful. Yeah, the kid's his best friend. Like he's like his best friend's like this Asian kid that nobody talks to apparently. I enjoy the kind of New York-y realism this brings as opposed to having.
It does look like New York.
Yeah. Like he's just showing up at like his friend's apartment and he's like the kid's like playing video games and he's like, yo, you gotta help me. And then like I think the humor is excellent too. Like Bendis does like the one-liners, like, and I've complained about how he's going back to the well with a lot of the stuff, but I really like that one panel where the kid's trying to make his powers come out, and his friend's looking at him, and he's like, you taking a dump right now? He's like straining to use his powers, man, and his uncle's still the Prowler, and there's like a really awesome moment where he's sitting with his dad in the park, and he's like, listen, like, I never thought I'd have to tell you this, but me and your uncle were like bad dudes back in the day, and he went to jail, and so did I, but I have a good life now, and I don't want to screw it up. And he still can't tell his dad that he got bit by a spider, and
he's Spider-Man,
and he's gonna be Spidey.
It's awesome, dude. It's an awesome start to a new character.
It is. Did you read this?
I did.
You did?
I did.
What'd you think?
I liked it.
Brilliant #1.
I think
came out this week.
It's a weird book. I think it feels like a Bendis book.
It does feel like a Bendis book. It's also kind of like...
It doesn't feel like anything new, though. It doesn't feel terribly groundbreaking.
You know why? I think it's because you have Mark Millar doing a lot of stuff on Icon that they're treading the same water of like the realistic world where somebody gets superpowers in a certain way,
Yeah.
And you have like Superior that came out, and then you have like this book Brilliant where it's just a bunch of smart kids who are so smart that they've created superpowers, and one of them like robs a bank.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
It's cool. It's a good book. I wasn't terribly impressed with it. I'll definitely be around. I'm definitely gonna read it to a completion.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's a fun book.
It's Bendis and Bagley, man. You can't really beat that combination. They're awesome. I'm
Bagley is my favorite bland artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
He makes everyone look the same, but it's awesome.
It's great, man. Like, and when he do like the special issues, and he kicks it up, like
he just destroys it. Yeah.
There's really awesome spreads, and he did a
lot
of
emotion.
In Ultimate Spidey, there was like some issues, like you'll have like the 25th issue or like the 50th issue, and it would look so mind blowing.
Yeah.
Kick-Ass #2 also. Kick-Ass 2 #4 came out this week. It was good.
Cool.
A lot of brutal. They're
really fucked up book.
Kicking up the brutality in it, like the motherfucker, as he's called now, blows away a bunch of kids.
And this was it the toxic scumfucks or whatever the bad guys, scum dicks or whatever.
I don't know. I may have glossed over.
It was a cool book. A lot of kid murdering, rape.
A lot of rape.
Your favorite, the Russian chick, is in this.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They made her cool in this. Like I like the character.
They fleshed her out a bit.
They fleshed her out, making her like a complete maniac.
It also seems like since she was hired, like she's ex KGB or whatever, or Spetsnaz, that they probably hired her and just gave her a CCP's shirt.
Right. Right, and just to complete the costume. The new Thor?
Yeah, man, I loved it.
Thor #6 came out this week too, folks. Pick it up. Listen, this run has been fantastic. Like, they've done really awesome stuff with the character in the past few years.
Beautiful book.
And I enjoy, and Jonathan enjoys as well, the Matt Fraction, Oliver Copiel run. Fantastic end to their Odin, Galactus.
And really important, like, Silver Surfer stuff, too.
Yeah. Which was handled a lot better than that miniseries that came out.
Ugh.
Yeah, which was really not that great. So in this issue, you have the culmination of Galactus looking for the World Seed, Loki hiding it, Thor getting pissed at Loki. But the really awesome thing happened at the end, where Silver Surfer was like, I'm going to stay here again.
Yeah, he's gonna protect Earth.
Yeah.
And they make this this like old pastor into the new Herald of Galactus.
The Praetor.
Yeah. And it's cool. It's like I love Galactus Silver Surfer stuff, and I know you do too.
Yeah.
But it rocked. You get Destroyer stuff, and it's kind of weird because you're reading all this stuff, and it's kind of Matt Fraction's writing Fear Itself as well.
Right.
And this is all like pre-Fear Itself. And it's a weird book to be released, especially when they're possibly killing off Thor. Yeah. And this is the last issue of this run. And now we're going, the next issue is going to be about Serpent and Odin. But it's cool. It was a great book. I really enjoy it. I think it's gorgeous to look at. It
is. It's a really beautiful book. And it's a really cool thing where they're giving you like a nice little foreshadowing of the Galactus stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a really cool thing because they don't you know, like comics and religion shouldn't mix, you know, but that's a kind of interesting aspect where like it's a pastor who becomes Galactus's herald.
Yeah.
You know, and he's solving mysteries and helping Galactus solve mysteries. You know, I want to see more of that.
I do. I'm always excited when there's a new herald.
What do we got? We got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
What do we want to jump into right now?
What do you got? We've talked about that already.
Yeah. FF?
Yeah.
FF was good.
I loved it.
Yeah. FF number 9 also came out this week. Future Foundation, not Fantastic Four.
Or First Family.
True.
Or Funky Foursome.
the flashy free. It's the evil Reed Richardses. There's 3 of them. And it's Reed Richards working together with a bunch of baddies, trying to kill himself from parallel dimensions.
So confusing.
You know, it is. I mean,
it's a hard book to explain.
Yeah.
This is all post the death of Johnny Storm. One of the coolest things ever is the fact that Doom is working with them, and Doom is also not as smart as he used to. He's kind of brain damaged. And his white costume looks awesome.
It does. So they managed to knock out 2 of the 3 evil Reed Richardses. The third one actually gets the upper hand on Doom, and they have a nice exchange where he's
that shit is awesome.
He's like, you know, I've beaten you on every single world I faced you on, and if you resist me, I will melt your brain. So you're gonna do what I say until you betray me, and then I'll melt your brain.
Yeah, it's because like they basically like these Reeds have like a closet full of dead Dooms.
Yeah.
So this was, you know, this is our Doom, but he's not up to par with them. And it's just like, it was just a solid, great book.
It really was. I enjoy.
I didn't read it.
No,
I didn't get it.
Didn't get it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you to borrow that. I did that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Captain America Bucky number 622. Going back to the World War II stuff, you know, Brubaker and Draco have, you know, made the flagship Captain America book, Captain America and Bucky, which is a cool way of handling the Fear Itself stuff, you know?
This is a weird book because I love it to death. You have Sam Neill on the art. I think Francesco Frenavella is coming on the book later on. There's not a lot of people talking about this, and most of it is kind of like establishing Bucky's narrative during World War II and just kind of like saying how important he was and how dangerous it was. You know, he's a young kid with a team on the invaders with like Namor and Human Torch and Toro and Captain America, and he's a kid, and so he's really has, you know, he's the shitty one on the team. Yeah. So it's him trying to establish himself. But what I think is going to happen in this book, I think they're going to do something very shocking with Bucky. I think that this run is going to end with him time traveling and becoming a childhood sidekick to Captain America in the current day. To
regular Steve Rogers Captain America.
I think like Kid Bucky is going to time travel to this, like or Winter Soldier version like that, because they're holding back something about this book.
Right.
They keep on teasing that there's something big going to happen in this book.
It's really like it's really mind blowing to me sometimes how, you know, you have Captain America who's such a stoic character, and it's very like, it's a story, you know, it's a straightforward story for the most part. Then you throw in a lot of time travel stuff with this guy.
A ton.
You know, there is a shit ton of time travel shit with Captain America, you know, that an average fan wouldn't really know. You know, and I think it makes sense. You know, I'm not going to knock down that theory because it makes perfect sense, and it would be awesome.
I think there's something going on with this because, like, number one, you also have the other Captain America book, and there hasn't been really an addressing of Bucky's death by Cap yet. And I know you're getting that after the fact, but there's something going on with this book that I don't think everyone really is into, and I think it's going to be a big shocker. Brubaker never disappoints.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I love that book.
Perfect dude to be writing Captain America too. Like, it's his every issue has always been like a knockout of the park. You know,
dude, I love that.
We also got Amazing Spider-Man number 670. It's still continuing with the Spider Island story, which was surprisingly incredible,
dude. Like, and not even that, but every single one of the tie-ins I've been reading are all solid, and they always fill in a bit of a gap. Like, if you read this, you have a moment where he's confronting Anti-Venom. Venom is confronting Anti-Venom, and you really don't get the full story unless you read Venom.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't feel like you're missing out on anything. It's just more. It definitely feels like exactly what a crossover should be doing and rewarding you. But the book is so much fun.
It really is, man. And it's such a gigantic story, and it's a big crisis, but it's handled with such lightheartedness. You know?
So like the background is like you have. Spider Island is the Jackal has given every single person in New York Spider-Man powers.
Yeah.
So it sounds awesome. It's great. You know, you have all these people running around, climbing walls and shooting webs. And they have like the weird like Spider-Man powers they've forgotten about, like the spikes and stuff being addressed, and you know, sticking to your body. But now the bad part of it is that everyone transforms to giant spiders.
Right,
and they're all mutating.
Yeah, they're mutating into. At first, they'll become like these like super strong like spider creatures, and then they'll actually become gigantic 8-legged spiders. You know, and they're roaming around the streets in New York City, and you know you have Reed Richards trying to contain the infection. And
plus, you get Triple J doing becoming a Spider-Man, which is awesome.
That's a great little moment where he's like, "Get out of the way! You're doing it wrong," and he's like, "What?" And Spider-Man's just like, "What are you doing?" He's like,
"It's awesome book, dude.
It really is. Go check out
all of it. All the Spider-Man stuff has been phenomenal.
Everything that Dan Slott has did for Spidey. If you're even like a passing fan, just do it up, man. Pick up all the Dan Slott Amazing Spider-Man stuff.
Slot Dan.
Slut Dan. But yeah, man, I'm excited too.
So many books. It's gonna be nice going in a couple weeks when we actually, you know, we'll be focusing more on Comic-Con, and also we'll get a bit lighter with our stacks.
With the stacks.
Next week is gonna be a light week.
Yeah. So, you know, you're going to get a lot more banter and a lot more Comic-Con anticipation. My palms are getting sweaty just thinking about it.
My hands are turning into lobster hands.
Can that be your costume?
He's doing lobster hands to us.
Ah, cool. Excellent. All right, we're going to wrap it up on this week's episode of Behind the Counter.
Want to try that plug again?
If you miss any episodes of anything on the GFQ Network, you can visit gfqnetwork.com.
Boom.
You can visit us on Twitter and iTunes. Subscribe to every single episode of everything on this network.
iTunes.com/GFQ.
Did it?
Holler at your boy.
We're not canceled? We're not canceled. We'll be back next week with another episode of Behind the Counter. I'm Rich Stambolian.
I'm Jonathan Adler.
Signing off.
Ciao.